Hello everybody and welcome to this video. In this video I want to talk a little bit about the hard-coded credential vulnerability which has been recently discovered and what we can do against it in case you cannot immediately go up to the latest firmware version. Now just a short recap on what exactly all it is about with the hard-coded credential vulnerability. Unfortunately there has been a security breach found. CVE-2020-29583 to be exactly, which has an undocumented account with an unchangeable password, meaning this is a security gap which people can use in order to gain access in the back end, which is undocumented in the end. Now, first of all, if you can upgrade to the latest patch, then you are absolutely safe of this vulnerability. So if you upgrade to the 460 patch 1 firmware version, then there should be no problem. However, we're talking about here currently in this video what happens in case you cannot do that. In order to show you this, I have already prepared the UST Flex 200 over here on my desk and just guiding you through the different settings and the different steps which we can then take in order to replenish that software breach or that security breach. So the very first step is that you totally disable the HTTPS, Telnet, SSH access from the WAN side of your unit. So when you're looking at the policy control, meaning the firewall of the unit, then you have a policy control rule which says or which states that from WAN to the unit itself, you have certain services which are allowed to be accessed. In this case, we can clearly see that we got, hang on, let me show that again, that we got HTTPS, SSH, among others. Maybe you also got Telnet in that. We have to take them out of the WAN to Zywall rule over here. In order to do that, we're navigating to object, to configuration, object, then moving over to the service and onto the service group. And this default allow WAN to Zywall group is exactly the group which is used in the firewall. So here we can go ahead and take out all the respective stuff which we don't want to have in there. Right now at the moment, I'm taking out HTTPS and SSH as a prime example, but you would have to need to take out any port which you actually don't want a user undocumented to be accessing. So for example, the VPN ports, ESP, or the VPN services, ESP, IKEY, and NetTraversal are rather unrelated to this kind of issue. Same with AH. VRRP is also not dangerous. So in an optimal solution, this might be the only stuff which you have on the screen over here. Yeah. I'll press cancel because I'm currently actually on the unit itself and I don't want to block myself out. But just taking this out is the very first step in order to get a secure state. So you would actually take these services out, press on OK, and then you would be good to go from a WAN side perspective because nobody can actually access your unit anymore via WAN side. Furthermore, if you want to have a more dedicated structure, meaning, for example, just imagine you are in your home office and you absolutely need mandatorily the HTTPS access from an outside IP address, but that's a static reserved IP address, and you just want to encapsulate or decapsulate yourself from all the other WAN IP addresses. This is something you would do in the policy control itself. And the policy control, very similar to the WAN to Zywall rule, which we have over here, we would then go ahead and maybe, for example, just giving an example, there are many different ways to do this, but I'm doing it this way. I would say, let's just call this fail or agent to Zywall. Now let's just imagine I would have the IP address, the external IP address, let me think, 99.100.101.102. So just creating this over here. And so this is my pseudo IP address. Oh, hang on. Wrong field over here. That's the right one. So this would be my public IP. Yeah. So this would then become what I would enter over here, public IP agent. That would be my host. Now I would say from WAN to the Zywall, from a respective source destination, meaning my public IP agent, I will allow, let me go ahead. I will allow the service group which I have, or HTTPS for example, So that would be that. The second step would be that I might take out HTTPS then from the generic WAN to Zywall rule. Yeah. So as we said before, we take out the services where we don't want people to access stuff, and then on top of that, or actually, yeah, I would say on top of that. So let me make this as the first entry. So on top of everything, I would still allow my respective agent to access my firewall from the outside. That is one step which you can do in respect of making sure your device is safe. Another thing to consider is not only looking from the outside, so from WAN to the Zywall, but also looking on the inside of your network. So sometimes you need specific clients, like an administrator of your network, to be capable of actually accessing the device via HTTPS, for example, but you don't want anybody else to access this. Maybe you don't want your employees to gain full access on this, because they also then could damage the unit with the undocumented user. Let's just simulate this over here. Right now, I have a cable from my PC to the USG in the LAN port. I'll just show you over here in the DHCP table what's going on. So my PC now has the IP address 1.33. I'm currently accessing the device via its WAN IP. It's embedded in my local system over here. Now let's just imagine I would like to have this particular PC only granting access, nothing else. So what I would have to do then over here is I would go back to add a rule over here. I would create an object. This is my PC LAN IP, which would then be the dedicated host 192.168.1.33. And I then would go ahead, let's say PC to Zywall, and from my LAN subnet to the Zywall, from the source of my PC LAN IP, I want to allow the specific service, or let me allow any service in that for the matter of that respect, and then click apply. So here we're good to go. And this rule over here, in theory, you could either alter so that not only certain services are allowed, maybe you only want DNS, for example, to be allowed. Let's just change it that way. Yeah. So let's just say the service DNS is supposed to be allowed. Anything else is not supposed to be allowed. Yeah. So we're changing this over here. Yeah. So you either could change the respective service, or you could completely deactivate the rule if you have all the exceptions set in place. These are the two ways, both outside to the USG and both inside to the USG, in order to make the device still secure despite of not having the latest patch release installed on your USG. However, it still is highly recommended that you actually go ahead and do the patch as soon as possible. For the access point controllers, there's something very similar. The most important thing is on the access point controllers that you can, if you're not needing to currently use FTP services, to just simply disable the FTP service, or respectively that you go ahead and alter the policy control of the NXE controller or whatever access point control you have out there, that you do the same thing with the policy controls, but only related to the FTP services. I hope this gives you a good guideline on what are the next steps. If anything else pops up, feel absolutely free to support the to contact the Zyxel support, or go on to support.zyxel.eu, our support portal, and there we have more information on what to exactly do furthermore.
We're Zyxel, and we're your networking ally.